Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism, back with another live video for you today. It is Thursday. That means it's time for another presentation style, a little kickback with Landucci. We're going to be doing part 2 of his presentation from the Spanish conference, and that is called the NASA Blue Beam Project. So if you missed part 1, go back on my YouTube channel, check it out, and you'll be able to watch part 1. And of course, today will be part 2. So looking forward to it. Iru, are you there, my friend?
Yes, man, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on again. Like you said, this is the part 2 in our Corona season.
Oh boy, Corona season, yeah. Hopefully we can provide some sanity to people out there in the world of the insane. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's Friday Lounge, because I'm sure we're going to discuss plenty of Corona. But tell me what's going on. Of course, I'm in California. And if people don't know what that means that I'm in the land of the crazies, and it's getting pretty scary over here with everybody acting like maniacs. But tell me how it's going there.
Here is the same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Of course, because we are like subdevelopment country or third type of world country, we follow orders that are coming from you guys from United States, not you itself, but our owners,
right.
England, United States, and Europe. So if you are the politician down here or outside here, like I prefer to say, referring to the Gleason map, you need to follow orders. You don't have any alternative or choice, because if you want to make your own rules and trying to use your own methodology, and something gets wrong,
yeah,
you are the people's going to hang from your neck.
If you need one of these, I'm going to start selling these to people. This is a cardboard circle that you can wear over your shoulders like this. It'll keep people 6 feet away from you.
Yeah, I see. I saw that. Yes, it's a nice...
So I'll be able to sell those, and
nice suit, yeah.
You can pick those up if you need to work on your social distancing. The other image I saw today that was funny is this one. I was a little bit nervous if it was real, but then I saw this. And once you see this image, you realize, uh-oh, we're in trouble. The coronavirus is real. So you can see it peeking over the moon.
Yeah, well, nice. I really like the spherical volumetric shape of the virus.
Me too.
All viruses. Because nobody saw something like that. Everything is plain and like 2D. But the mass media or the medicine institutions present these CGI images, and everything has volumetric, and everything has volume and this spherical shapes and things like that.
People love their spheres.
Love spheres, yes, and it's the most easy shape to do in 3D.
Right.
a cube and a sphere.
Very simple. And then I saw this video. I saw this video today, which I thought was great. It's by Level Earth Observer. He says, "Coronavirus. Here's a healthy vaccine." And can you disagree with this? This is the best vaccine I've seen for coronavirus yet. Just the attacking of a TV, because the news is like poison, man. It is really got people up in a frenzy. It's got people headed out, ransacking stores. Here in California, stores are just empty. There's nothing on the shelves anymore. The media's loving it. And I don't know. To me, it's just a really interesting, effective, and unique way for governments to acquire even more control by using this massive kind of fear-mongering parade to further push their agenda. I don't know. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Here is the same kind of things. We are not start in this situation about the supermarket being empty and
not yet.
The same thing. Not yet. And we are at least from we are not restricted to be in our house via military orders
Right.
or political orders. We can still go out. Of course, the schools, the universities, some types of governmental shops and office are closed.
Right.
But you see people outside in the street without any kind of paper that allow to transit the public street, right?
Yeah, the same thing is true here. I mean, it's not like
But it's
government
coming.
enforced.
The thing is coming.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think. In fact, yesterday on the news, they start telling us that maybe it's something that we need to take into consideration from the next week. Maybe the next week is going to next Monday. They're going to give the news about about this restriction to transit the public street freely.
Jeez. Yeah. And at this point, I don't know where they're going to stop. They've clearly proven to me, at least, that they can push this as far as they want. I mean, they're going to be able to push mandatory vaccinations, mandatory medicine. Look how easy it is for them to manipulate the economy. They can destroy families and income. And most important, I think, to them is that they can suppress dissent. They'll call anyone who disagrees as dangerous. Even murderers. I've seen posts from people saying, don't murder your grandparents. Don't, it's like insane. People are going to visit their grandparents and looking through windows. They're scaring the public into what seems like complete blind obedience. Just look at what's happened in a matter of a couple days. I mean, societies have all but given governments complete and total control over every aspect of their lives. Like nothing I've seen really, just handed it right over. What events to cancel, what gatherings can take place, how many people can gather, what ages can assemble, what ages shouldn't, when we can leave our homes, for how long, what for, who can operate business, who can't. If you're a barber, sorry, no business for you. If you're a teacher, sorry, you can't do business. If you're a grocery store, go ahead, stay open. They've got curfews. They've got, in some countries, I've seen the police walking around with these like social distance rods to like push people into being 6 feet away from other people. It's just like the media is causing a complete and total panic, and they love it, man, because everyone's at home. Everyone's watching them. Everyone's watching the news, keeping up the fear. And the news, to me, like I said earlier, is just straight poison. So how quickly it's changed, where it's not okay to stand alone anymore, to be your own person, to voice your own opinion, to make your own decisions, to do your own thing, to disagree with others. That's all gone, man. You can't question your government now. You can't demand truth in media. You just have to sit in obedience to the great powers of the government. And even if this does go away, the government will be able to parade around and say, look at what we've done. We stopped everybody from dying. If it wasn't for us and all the moves that we made, you guys would be garbage.
They are heroes. They are heroes.
Oh, our heroes. I'm so happy.
No. That in fact, we had times of dictatorships here in Latin America, but my parents lived that. Not my generation. So we this is like the first time for our generation to have this type of dictatorship from the government, camouflage in this idea of we are doing this because we try to make you survive, to this virus.
But they've taken, it just shows how easy we as a society have given complete control to them. And, this is one of the scariest things that you can see. And again, to each their own. I'm not telling people don't believe it. I'm not telling people, because you can believe whatever you want. You want to believe Corona is going to kill you and your families. You can believe that. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, what not to believe. I don't have fear. I'm not fearful of it. The only thing that I'm looking around and seeing is people reacting out of complete and total fear, and that makes me very sad for humanity. Just how quickly this can happen. So, all right. Well, tomorrow I'm sure we'll have a good topic on that. It'll be a good discussion. So join us for the Jeranism Friday Lounge. It's just a kickback session. Usually we have Karen B there. Rodrigo will be there. Usually Bob's there. Austin Whitsitt. Lots of people. Iru will be there. And we'll all just kick back and have a good conversation and probably bring up a lot of what's going on in other countries. That's why I like that we have people from all over. We're able to kind of ask what's going on over there. What are you seeing? What are you not seeing? So that'll be tomorrow at this same time, 12 noon. Join us for the Jeranism Friday Lounge. But today we're doing the NASA Bluebeam Project Part 2 with Iru. And Iru, you want to bring up your screen share and make sure we're all ready to go?
Okay, let me just click the magic button, and supposedly I'm presenting right now. And what you see is my refrigerator.
Okay. Okay, I was like, what is
Okay,
this?
because I want to show something, and maybe we can discuss this tomorrow in the lunch. But
Okay.
the thing is that you heard me before, talk a lot of time of the chlorine dioxide,
Yeah.
dioxide. Yeah.
MMS and stuff.
And yesterday, because all this crazy thing about the so-called virus of the corona and other type of viruses, some followers sent me, and I didn't, or I don't be aware of this U.S. patent. And there is a U.S. patent, officially U.S. patent. This is the patent for the chlorine dioxide gas for use in treating respiratory virus infection. And it came from people of, I believe, there is in other languages. I don't know if this is the official countries that have produced this patent, from German and French. The inventor is called Norio Ogata. I believe with that type of surname maybe came from Asia. And the current assignee is Taiko Pharmaceutical Company, Limit Company. I don't know how to pronounce this. But the fact is that, disinfection, sterilization, or desodorization of the air using gaseous of vaporous substance. And the fact is, that is why I show this is my, my refrigerator. I
Yep.
am saying good?
Yep, refrigerator.
Okay. And that is the chloride dioxide gas that I drink all day. It's very easy to fabricate yourself. I buy it. I am not fabricated yet, because for me it's more easy to buy it. But that is the color. I use like this amount in a liter or half liter of water. This is the still water. So you put that. You cannot see it in the video, but it starts to release a gas that is going up into the air. That is my distiller water, and you fill the container, and you drink along the day, and keeps you very healthy. And it's crazy. I showed this because the pharmaceutical industry, they use it for a lot of things, and they know how efficient is this type of therapy based on the gas of the chloride dioxide to respiratory therapies.
Right.
And of course, all these kind of virus attack the respiratory organs. Right. So I want to just a quick share for those who want to maybe start research about the MMS or the chloride dioxide.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think we need to do eventually a video with that doctor too. Would be great.
Yeah. I have direct contact with him. He speaks German. He speaks Spanish. He speaks also English. So we can make some appointment to participate, at least a few, because in Spanish community is a really active guy. He doesn't he is very kind, and he participate in all kind of YouTube channels, but he doesn't have so much in English, maybe because nobody invited,
Right.
Simply as that. So I can make an appointment to have it on the show.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it after the show, because I've got some Thursdays coming up that are available if he wants to do that, or he can join us on any Friday as well. So we'll talk about it after.
Perfect. So if you want to, we continue with this NASA Blue Beam project, and if you start thinking and I believe we talked about this in the last Thursday, but now we are under the Blue Beam project. If you want to take into
Right, I was going to say, it's like
a
perfect,
scenario,
it's like perfect timing, isn't it? Where really it's the same kind of thing where they don't need a virus to do what they've done. They just need the threat of a virus. So it's kind of the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's an external threat, external to our control, if you want to see it that way. So if I replace the heliocentric model to biological war, because this is like a biological war. I mean, this is not nature, trying to kill us. This is man-made, some time of pandemia. That is my opinion, of course. Then you have the collateral damage, and that is our regular, common people. They need to, produce the fake scenario, and like we read and like we talk in the last show, to be successfully, manipulation should remain invisible. The manipulation should remain invisible. The success of the manipulation is guaranteed when the manipulated believe that everything happens naturally and inevitably. Sorry for my pronunciation. In short, manipulation requires a false reality in which its presence will not be felt. And that is what we see in this kind of a scenario. For me, it's not, everyone out there believe that it's naturally and inevitably, but in reality, it's like, a plan.
It's an idea.
It's a planification.
Right.
It's an idea, exactly.
Yeah.
So taking from this point, we reach the first chapter of the NASA Bluebeam project. We reach this part. We give like a brief introduction, maybe with real life events. Let me just recap very quickly, because we start, reading from the guy who start promoting the official document, came from the UN, the NASA Bluebeam project itself. We're talking about the guy behind that. We talk about the participation of the space agency and the ultimate goal, which is a new world order. Via this kind of threat. Is like like another card that they play. But of course, we are seeing in our daily basis, very insistent. They insist so much with the alien invasions on movie, series, music, TV, whatever, that at least it's a card that they have already on the table, and they start using it without any doubt about that. So then we split, or we explain the main 4 steps, and we read about the 4 sub-steps that has the number 4 point. And then we make like a short road about the Roswell case, how we now we have object in the sky that's everything is everything is a UFO, everything is like an alien ship or something like that. We recap about the real life event, talking about this kind of alien invasion and how they need it, because the word that the presidents, for example, Ronald Reagan, used is we need an external threat. So that implies a necessity, and you can fabricate that necessity, right?
Now I've seen some news reports this week, or just to let you know, I've seen some news reports where they're talking about this exact thing with the coronavirus. Like, oh, we need this external threat to bring us all together. It's the same kind of thing.
Man.
They use the same verbiage.
That is why I'm start the presentations talking about that. For me, the original plan of the NASA Bluebeam start changing along this last decade, and maybe we are going to see at the end of the presentation. But maybe they're gonna use not the UFO idea, but they're going to change it to AI or transhumanism. To uses as the new messiah, because in our days, and let me just spoiler a little bit, but in our days we have this strong ramification of the AI, if you want to see in that way, that are proposing like a church based on artificial intelligence. And this is a former Google founder that he created this idea of a church. Because after all, for humans, what is a god? It's someone that supposedly, beside to make miracles, had all the answer, right?
Yep.
So if you start to transferring that idea into that, okay, if I take my cell phone right now and ask to Google, Google, tell me that, tell me this, you're going to have the response immediately. And you have the alternative with other OS software, So Siri is the name in the Apple.
Yeah, Siri.
Siri. So I mean, if you start thinking like, well, maybe making this alien invasion is going to be a little hard and maybe we need more time, but we don't have that time because there is a lot of people that are waking up right now and question us. So maybe we can, change that and we can start promote these quantum computers, telling to the people that these quantum computers receive message and they
From
are
the alternate
computing.
universe. And
Yeah,
that's what they say, that they're coming from alternate universes, that they can
Exactly.
pick out the truth out of. Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
So ridiculous, but you have all these mainstream science and mainstream space guys like Elon Musk telling us that, well, playing with quantum computer or AI is playing with demons, and this, mix between the electronics and computing system with something that is ethereal, astral things like demons or spirit or things like that. Of course, they use that as like a poetry behind that kind of titles. Right. But the fact is that now in our days, we start having these people that worship AI.
Right. Well,
like
you've already got Elon Musk telling people that there's a 1 in a billion chance that we're a base reality. Which, I mean, just come on, look around.
Yes.
We are a base reality, folks, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is reality. This is what you get. Yet he's telling people there's only a 1 in a billion chance that we are a base reality. We're probably some offspring of some other reality, some alternate universe, some expanding universe, some dual universe, some multiverse, and people believe it. People eat it up.
No, and in fact, Elon Musk is like the guy who changed so many times of idea, because he told us about, with artificial intelligence we are calling demon. Then
Right.
he said we live in a holographic universe. Then he said we live in computer simulation.
Right.
So I mean, he changed
Which one
the
is
phrase,
anything,
which is exactly, man.
Right.
I mean,
anything but we are just the reality that we're presented. Anything but that.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but they are, and of course you have the Grace Tyson give presentation and lectures in to a lot of people, talking about like with the guy who supposedly found like a code, a binary code in our universe, and that
James,
means that we are like created by another computer. And
right, Dr. James Gates, he keeps presenting him and saying, look
that
at this
one,
guy found this computer code, 1s and 0s at the base of our universe. And I've said it since the beginning of time that if they're finding 1s and 0s in the base code of the universe, I'm here to tell you that that's because the universe that we've been presented exists in a computer. It is a computer simulation that they've sold to the general public, and even scientists at large is the reality that we exist in. I disagree.
Yeah, and because zeros and one was created by humans.
Correct.
And in fact, I always ask to the people, I always ask to these kind of people, and for the zeros and one and the equations in the walls of the pyramids in Egypt.
Right.
Where is the calculate? Where is the math? This, ultimate math, the language of the gods of the universe, in those structures, because the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Incas, those guys built these amazing structures without any equations of our days.
Right. No, but that's why God supposedly gave us 10 fingers so that we can do math with 10 being the double digit. And it's just ridiculous. I don't like the whole idea of the mathematics of the universe, and the math created this world, and math is created by humans.
Trying to find math in some way. I never saw a number in the nature. I mean. But, that is a philosophical question. So the main idea that we, trying to explain in the first part is the scenarios related with reality. We talk about SETI and how SETI work with NASA, the politicians and the actors and all the supposedly important people that the elite use to bring the message, to download the message to the common people in our houses. They use all type of shows. They use astronaut that became to say the alien exists. The UN use an alien ambassador in case that we have contact, just in case. But the thing is that all this idea they provide us via a manipulation of our nervous system via electromagnetic field, more common known as television and mass media and entertainment. We present some patents. We present some ideas of how the aliens start to evolve along the time in the timeline. Because at the first was just some insects being giant insects represent the alien invasion. Then start coming this idea of robots or aliens with green head. Then we know that Aleister Crowley has a really important relevance in the idea of presenting the modern shape of alien. Then we start talking about the education, and the first guy and this is very important, to propose the idea that we need external threat to unite the humanity based on an alien UFO type of threat was the John Dewey, the first guy or the most important guy in the educational plans in the United States. And this guy was founded by Skull and Bones, Rockefeller, and Carnegie, families and clubs. That was saying by Bill Cooper in a short video that he talks about the UFOs, and for he at least everything is a scam, everything is a planification via military and things like that. Then we start talking about the UNESCO, the Jesuit connection with the education for different type of people, the rich people and the common people. And
it's pretty obvious that there's pretty much no avenue that they don't use to push the alien agenda. It's in every aspect of life, in books, ideas, conceptions, stories, media, movies, even church, right? I mean, what better than to make your telescope and call it Lucifer, like the Catholic Church has done? I mean, this is just pushing the whole alien agenda as well. Go ahead, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, no, and then we trying to present the connections with all the politicians, the heroes of the history, the guys that get freedom in our Latin American countries and things like that. They are all the same club. And for us, at least for me, the first false flag agenda presenting to the public to start believing space was the Sputnik. But it was a Sputnik with the Soviet Union already being a Masonic Soviet Union. That is why I showed this picture, because Stalin, Lenin, all these guys after the First World War, they came all from Freemasonry agents, right? That it's my opinion. Of course, you can read yourself and make your own research. Karl Marx, of all these guys, the original SARS from the Soviet Union, they was all killed. So after that, they put their own agent and start presenting to the world this Hegelian idea of, no, the Russians are the bad guys and we are the good ones, and we need to, they use this counterpart to manipulate the public opinion and get founded and, all this crazy idea. And the same thing, the Russia do the same thing with his own people, right?
With their own story.
So
and it's just people always forget that. They think what we're taught is what we're taught is what Russia was taught, and they think what Russia was taught is what we were taught, and it's not the case at all. It's completely different stories. I mean, one side they're talking about it, the other side we're talking about it, and it's completely different stories. The whole idea of the moon landing, of course, Russia wasn't taught, oh, the United States beat us to the moon, they're the victor, they won the moon race. No, it's not told that way. It's told a completely different story. Their story is that it was ridiculous. Why go to the moon? It's not important. Once we figured out satellites, that was all that was important. And these guys spent all their money getting to the moon for what reason? For nothing. What do they have? They have nothing more than we have. So they tell a completely different story to their public than what we might think.
Exactly, and this is the sound of terror.
Earlier today.
Oh, so scared.
Yeah. Shit in your pants, right?
Yes.
So after that,
I have no
this
toilet
point.
paper. I have no toilet paper to take care of that either.
Yeah, be careful, man. Be careful with that sound,
Right.
please. That beep. So we reached this point, and sorry for this brief introduction, but
No,
maybe
it's good.
some guys need it.
And again, we
So
went into detail into these subjects. If you want to go back and watch part 1, that's on my channel. Go back and watch. We did about an hour and a half of this, what we're just going over now. Go ahead.
Exactly. So we reached this part that we are trying to dissect the fourth step that is presented in the original document. And I trying to present ideas and technologies that maybe, of course, at that time, the guys who planning this, maybe they don't even aware, but right now we have it. So maybe a few things change it. But I'm going to try to do my best in present my point of view. So I hope you people out there can understand me, okay? So the first step is the fall of all archaeological knowledge. And I'm going to tell you that, please, if you can read it, because you read it better than me. So
Sure. So it says it's about organizing discoveries in certain precise locations around the world where supposed new discoveries will finally explain to them that the meanings of the basic doctrines of important religions around the world are wrong. This falsification will be used to make the population believe that all religious doctrine has been misunderstood and misinterpreted.
Exactly. So for me, when you start, this is the first step. So they need this, okay? So they're talking about the idea of, for example, created earthquakes. That is what is said in the document. Earthquake or new discoveries, maybe some archaeological guys going to some place and start to, make holes in the ground and, we found this, we found that, and associate that with a religious story. Of course, the dinosaurs, maybe the people doesn't imagine that the dinosaur is directly linked to the religious story. It's absolutely linked. So that is the first thing. I mean, we all know that maybe dinosaurs is not like how they present us. In the schools and universities, nobody talks about Robert Plot, the guy who was part of the Royal Society of London and one of the most important Freemasonries at that time. And he present the idea from his mind that maybe this large bone that come from a giraffe, how you call a giraffe?
Giraffe.
Oh, okay. Could be some kind of big animal out there, and he present the Velociraptor in 1652. And nobody talks about him. I mean, everyone that maybe start talking about dinosaurs, immediately they talk about Darwin and those colleagues at that time, but nobody go a little more back in time. So that is the first things that for me, and George Orwell explained very well and you read it in the 1984 book, when Winston and the other guys start talking about those bones, and he said that was an invention of the biologist of the 19th century, right? Something like that.
Yep, absolutely.
So that for me is part of this idea to that we was wrong about the interpretation of few things, but strictly, directly to what is about the ancient mythologies, we start having this kind of news. This is from 2015, and this was like, sorry, because this is a video and I cannot translate it, but here it said something like, let me play, because I believe it's in English, the video.
Okay.
Let me just play it. What is here? But the thing here is like the ISIS destruct the Nimrod statues,
Right.
and place in Sumeria. So this kind of, why ISIS go there and destroy the Nimrod statues
Right.
and walls with the scripture. What that kind of, I mean,
Bullshit.
But this is a historical. This is exactly. But this is a historical thing that is really happened.
Right.
So the only ark that live on being straight is the Ark of Baal. This is the Baal Ark, and supposedly this this valley, this colline, I don't know how to pronounce this.
The columns.
Bump area.
Okay.
Colline, exactly, was like that before.
Right.
And ISIS go there, and we know that like ISIS for They work for the CIA and all the guys in the secret services. So it's like they receive like a kind of order and say, hey, go and destroy this temple,
Right, these
this
religious
temple,
sites.
and this temple.
Right. Okay.
Because maybe after 2, 3, 4 generations, we don't have any more records, and they can invent whatever they want about those places.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did before. Who knows? Like Eratosthenes, all that guys. For me, it's like a simple invention. They never even exist. But
no. But how are you ever going to prove that?
knows?
Because all they need to do is have one book written about him, then another book written about that person, then another book confirming that book, and all of a sudden it's fact. Boom. You'll never be able to prove it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's that easy to make up whatever you want.
You have this actual news, and I believe it's in English. Yeah.
More than 3,000 years of history obliterated in seconds. This video was released by ISIS. CNN cannot independently verify its authenticity, but it purports to show the radicals destroying Nimrud, one of the most important archaeological sites in Iraq. ISIS fighters use power tools to break down ancient statues.
Power tools, hammer. Okay.
Frescoes and walls. These are remnants of the ancient Assyrian civilization. Nimrud used to be its capital. They stood since the 13th century BC and survived many wars, but were destroyed by the militants probably in less than a day. The United Nations called ISIS's destruction of cultural treasures in Iraq and Syria war crimes. Still, videos of the destruction of cultural sites keep emerging. This one, the authenticity of which CNN also cannot verify, allegedly shows ISIS fighters ransacking the museum in Mosul, wrecking ancient statues and other artifacts. But so far, there's virtually nothing stopping ISIS from wreaking havoc on Iraq's rich heritage.
And nobody stop it.
No.
By God, we will destroy the signs of polytheism, and we will destroy the graves and shrines of the Shiites, the militant says. We will smash the Christian crosses, and we will demolish the White House in the middle of America, the home of the infidels.
With Corona.
Aaron, there are members of the Iraqi government who said they want the U.S. and its allies to conduct more aerial surveillance to make sure that...
Okay, but you catch the idea, right?
Yes.
I mean, this, for me, and I really like this part because this guy is one of the representation of Baal, the Sumerian god, the idea of this ball we live inside Baal. But the idea is, in this document, is start talking about, first of all, destroying all new discoveries of the ancient mythologies, giving another perspective of the religion or the goddess or whatever. And we have in our days, and I present this just like a, 1%. If you start following, articles of archaeological art, you can find a lot of those. But for me, the most important change is not just destroying the temple. You need to destroy the evidence because otherwise it's going to be difficult to came with a new idea or new history behind those, right? So for me, this kind of practice has been all over the time, all over the place in our history. And we can even talk about that supposedly we have add 1,000 years to the original calendar. And,
right.
that kind of thing. So that is another thing. That is another way to change history in terms of religion. But for me, the most evidence and related with the alien agenda is this idea of the Asian aliens, because for the regular people that they consume a lot of television and series, and this was like the top one. It's like here, even in Latin America, it's like the most important series for the UFO people.
Yeah,
and even I was brainwashed with this.
Yeah, everybody is. I mean, we have the History Channel here in the States. I don't know about you guys there, but we have a channel called History
here it's
Channel.
the same thing.
Yeah, and that is all that's on 24 hours a day, nonstop, is ancient aliens, over and over again on the History Channel.
Exactly.
So this is history.
The first, I believe, was the first 3 or 4 seasons of this series. I was completely believe it. I was a believer. I was completely brainwashing by this series, because at that time I don't even think in terms of the flat Earth.
Right.
So I was like a moonland denier, because my profession, when I see those guys jumping on the moon, immediately my eyes start seeing the puppet behind the curtains. I am a technical director in computer graphics for the people that maybe don't know me, but I never questioned the heliocentric model. And when I start looking at this type of information, immediately it's like everything start making sense. Of course, we didn't come from monkeys. We used to be monkeys, but the aliens start to manipulate our DNA and changes as humans. And of course, Jesus came in the spaceship to the earth. That is why they came from the sky and passed through the heavens and the clouds. And I was completely brainwashing. So these kind of things works very well.
Very, very well. Yeah, it's just you just need to present the story, and people will believe it. So all of a sudden, you can show an ancient astronaut on a stone wall and say, "See, we had astronauts thousands of years ago," even though it's just somebody with a helmet and a cable attached.
Yes, exactly, and of course, one of the important guys, and for me this is an important connection, because one of the guys behind this mainstream story about the Anunnaki was Zacharias Sitchin, and he is a confessed Freemason. And in fact,
and the only one who can actually transcribe these old languages. We have Icy Tubes. I don't know how to pronounce it. He says, "Thanks, Jaron and Iru. I do, in fact, want to see it exactly that way." He's making a comment on my favorite thing that Iru says as well, which is if you want to see it in that way. So thank you very much for the super chat.
Okay.
That's my favorite too. That's my favorite thing too. Everybody has their own favorite. Go ahead.
If you want to see in that situation, you have all these guys. And in fact, I showed this guy at the beginning of the presentation. Let me go back just one here. We have the Jordan Maxwell, and here you have Jordan Maxwell with Zacharias Sitchin making this strange type of handshake. For me, it's not strange, but you have it there. And then you have Zacharias Sitchin here in the Freemasonry Lodge,
trying to cover his face.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if you go out there and start looking the first chapter, you have all these politicians, historians, UFO researchers. Everything is connected with Freemasonry. So, and Freemasonry trying to debunk or change, not debunk, but trying to change the skin of the religion, bringing the New Age religion, which is the same thing as the old one, but with a new name. And so you start looking, and you have all these connections that referring and point and targeting the same place, which is the church, the heliocentric guy, the Jesuit order, so it's very easy to start make connections. So the idea is that, for example, and I apologize for the Spanish titles, but the thing is, one once I became a flat earther, I'm start looking again into the ancient alien. And in fact, there is a really, and I'm going to upload it to my English channel because I never did in the Spanish channel because it's 3.5 hours video explaining all the inconsistencies behind the ancient aliens, and you can find it with this name, Ancient Aliens Debunked, and it's an amazing piece of evidence that go, all the statues that supposedly are reference to spaceships and blah blah blah, it's all a lie,
Right.
a complete lie. So I'm going to upload it to my English channel, but the thing is, there is a lot of things to cover for debunking, a series with 20 seasons, I believe is right now.
Right.
We are not
There's
going
a lot
to
of
do
seasons,
that.
no.
But one of the frescoes that they use in the first season is this one, which is the Annunciation of Mary. I don't know if I pronounce it well.
Annunciation, yeah.
Yeah, Annunciation of Maria, Maria.
Yep.
And they go very quickly with dramatic music in the background, and they're going to say, oh, in the Annunciation of Maria, we can see this spacecraft, passing through the clouds, sending a laser beam to the head of Maria and get pregnant.
Right.
Because that is the official story behind this. But when you go into detail, because you can go on museum online web page where you have this picture, this fresco in high quality, is the sun, and these are the angels,
Absolutely.
and that it's just that, and of course
it's not
the
a
sun
spacecraft.
Makes rays, and so and because at that time everyone worshipped the sun, like in our days, so everything happened.
They believe
for
it's
the sun.
They believe it's God's son. It's God's messenger. It's everything. Yeah.
Exactly. It's God's messenger. So the idea is that I don't say everything, but all the things that the ancients, started the ancient astronauts trying to show us is referring to the sun, but it is.
Right.
Everything is the sun. It's not spacecraft. For example, this is another one that they say this is an antenna. It's a ball with antenna. Communicate with air. Man, this is the Roman Empire icon. This is the cross of the church that is controlling. This is the they refer to this idea of the globe, of course, the globalization. And this is the sun.
Right.
Because the yellow halo behind representing the sun, but also corona, for the colors.
Yeah.
The blue and the red is that is why Jesus is presented so many times with this kind of colors. And if you go a little deeper in symbology, supposedly, and I believe it, because the sun is an electromagnetic source, they represent the electric via the blue and the magnetic via the red. So that is why they put these dresses in red and blue for Jesus, because it's a sun and it's an electromagnetic power, right? So, but this is not referring to any kind of antenna or things like that. Then you have this famous, fresco, and supposedly they say that, oh, look at here. This is a spacecraft with the people inside. And this is another spacecraft with the people inside. So maybe in the crucifixion's day, the aliens want to see how the people crucify Jesus, and because and all this kind of I cannot say nonsense, because have sense if you want to read in a religious way, mixing with UFO.
Right.
It's kind of sense. The history behind is a sensical history, but for reality, it doesn't have any sense.
No.
Okay. But the thing is that when they see these kind of shapes with people inside, they forget completely that this is Helios and this is Selene.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing that if I go to NASA, so this patch of NASA is representing that they go with horses?
No.
Supposedly?
Right.
No. It's the same thing. So in the old days, and in our days too, but
that
in
was
the old days,
that was their
they
story. There
represent
was
Helios.
somebody who rode in the sun. He rode by every day in the sun
Exactly.
with his horse and chariot, and that's
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But the main topic here, the main core of this is, first of all, if the sun is moving, it's because it's the sun's moving.
Right. Not because of
And the moon is
the
moving.
globe spinning. Right.
Exactly. No, it's not the globe spinning. If these guys go into the sun, it's because the sun is moving.
No,
okay?
they go there and they
But
sit there. They just sit there, and we spin around while they just observe.
yeah, and they sit there and wait till the Earth start rotating. But the thing is that all this kind of thing is this. I mean, we was wrong about the interpretations of the Christian or Muslim or whatever religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this way. These are starships or spacecraft,
Mm-hmm.
and these are aliens coming in our world and interact with our civilization and things like that. So
Or you've heard
they
him
are
describe the wheel within wheels and Ezekiel and seeing the craft, and it's actually a
Yes.
spaceship coming, but it's a anti-gravitic spaceship. But yeah, it's all an attempt to take what we used to know and say we interpreted it wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is wrong. Everything is UFO, and we was wrong about the interpretation. So, and again, they repeat themselves. This is a spacecraft, and these are the beings that lift up people.
Right.
Come on, man. This is a cloudy day, and this is just a hole in the sky with the light of the sun, shining over a special people.
Right.
And this is a piece of propaganda. I mean, this is the equivalent to television at that times.
Absolutely.
It's just that.
They could have painted
Simple as
whatever.
that.
It's even easier than TV. You could just paint whatever you want.
Whatever you want, exactly. So then you have another one, the sun, of
Right.
course, with Jesus dressed in red and blue, and this is like if is this a spacecraft or not, or supposedly he came from another dimension. Well, this is like a flat Earth. I mean, I see like a disc.
It's just
very
a cloud.
flat,
You can
with
even
mountain
it's just
hills.
clouds. Oh boy.
It's just clouds, but no, this is like in spacecraft invasion.
Right.
Well, the idea here is, of course, not just the moon and the sun, or better said, both has rays.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how they depict it. And in fact, and I mentioned this before, but if both have rays, if you're trying to triangulate and make the Eratosthenes and like inversion of the or supposedly these kind of rays are close, but these kind of rays are
Far.
93 million miles away.
Right.
This can parallel, but this which one?
Right. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, man. So the idea behind
Oop, we lost Iru for a second. Let's see what's going on. Iru, hold up. I'm not hearing you for a second. Wait. Hold on, Iru. Iru, can you hear me okay or no? Please hold for technical difficulties. Iru.
television programs.
Hold on. Sorry.
So-
Sorry. Go back about a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we lost you. Right. Go ahead and start that slide right there.
Okay.
Go ahead. We just lost you for a second. You're fine now.
Okay, so the sun rays and the moon
No,
rays.
we got that one.
Was
Yep. We got that one. Go to the next slide.
that. Okay, the next one. Well, it's this. I mean,
Okay.
all this spacecraft or all this interpretation. If you go and trying to apply like a special eye on it, is referring to the Helios or the moon of the sun or the stars. It's simply as that. There are not spacecraft or that kind of things. We have the same thing with the moon. The moon was personified.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, the word?
Personified, yeah.
And with a woman. That is why in this kind of fresco you have a woman inside a moon and you have a man inside of the sun. And of course, there is also a very important representation or personification, which is the aurora borealis. No much talk about that, but for me, I agree with many researchers out there that represented, all this kind of symbology of the green lion, bite the sun being bitten by a green dragon or lion. It's representing this idea of the electromagnetic way of interchange energy. You know, the idea of the sun bring the magnetic field, the electrical field to our Earth, and you can see it in these manifestations in the upper atmosphere called the aurora borealis. If you go, and this is not the idea of the presentation, but if you go to Eric Dollar and those guys, they are going to tell you that the sun is charged like 50 millions of volts of electricity every day our atmosphere. So all these kind of things, for me, you can find it in nowadays in a very scientific way, but because the people in the past was more creative and more artistic, maybe they represent it in that way. Helios with the red color of the magnetism and the green color of this combination between the sun and the aurora borealis and the moon. Here you can see it with the dark sun, the yellow sun, the visible sun, the moon with the white dress, and the winds, because it's in the sky flying, moving like a serpent, is the aurora borealis. So it's a very interesting thing. But again, the main topic is that we have been wrong about these interpretations. These interpretations, it's referring to UFO. So that is the first step. You can say that the first step of the blue blin is accomplished completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely. So the first step is completely.
They've already done that. They've taken away. Look at the difference between what people would believe today than they would have believed 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It's completely 180 degrees difference.
Exactly. So because I presenting the US patent for the television, telling us that everything is manipulated in the television, because after all, everything, the sphere world, the spherical world, the UFOs, the ancient aliens, everything it's presented in the television.
Right.
So I just want to play. I know there is a lot of people that know this part of this documentary, but for the record, I want to leave it in the show, because it's a nice explanation, the importance behind the television, and you can apply it right now in our days with all this crazy thing about the virus and things like that. So I'm gonna play.
Yeah, think about everything going on now.
2 minutes.
Yeah, think about everything going on now and compare it to what he's talking about here. Go ahead.
Exactly. Let me just play it.
People still today think that all entertainment to do with movies, drama, is therefore nothing more than their entertainment. It never ever was that case.
Throughout history, social engineers have refined techniques designed to control large populations.
About 100 years ago, this big organization with many branches wrote about the kind of culture and the changes of culture over a 100-year period that they would actually design, implement, and bring in. H.G. Wells talked about it too. He talked about arenas. He says arenas could be put up across the world for sports, for instance. Now at that time, sports was something that children, school children were into. Adults became adults and got onto adult things. But he said we can do this and foist basically a sports culture for the males. Using a tribal system, we're all tribal to an extent. That's why we even bother to vote for a tribal leader. This is well understood. That's why we're supplied with these leaders. And because the average man was to become more disengaged from his own destiny as the expert class arose, it was decided that the males would get their outlet, basically, gradually becoming helpless as males through sports. Therefore, they'd have a tribal team they could identify with. The Soviet Union had a department called the culture industry. Their actors and directors were called the cultural leaders, because they would, like a computer, people are like computers. All you have to do is keep giving them new updates every so often, and you can change an entire country or a nation or a block of nations who are all getting the same upgrades at the same time along certain paths. Today we call it political correctness.
political correctness. And of course, the documentary continues, but I want to just use this part because it's very clear how they use radio, TV, Dolby surround system
And I think
for
what
the virtual reality, augmented reality, etc., etc., etc. Right?
And we talked about it before, but it's exactly what he's saying here, that they've refined these techniques. It's not, okay, we put these techniques in place and we're going to hold to them the whole way. No way. They can change, refine these techniques to control the population, implementing these things over a period of hundreds of years. And it's definitely true what he said about these tribal leaders, and we're provided with these leaders. Why? So that we feel this whole tribal mentality. Why are we provided these sport teams? So that we have a team to get behind, because these are things that they knew people would want, people would need, and they're providing this outlet so that you allow the controlling class to move along without your input, really.
Yeah, and when you see this kind of behavior with tribal behavior, and talking about teams, you have the team SpaceX, the team of Virgin Galactic, the team, and they the reaction of the people, for example, in SpaceX, cheering and smelling and yelling all the just because supposedly something that we did 50 years ago, now it's doing again, and
50 years ago we did it with
celebrating like crazy people because we have a payload deployment.
Yeah, it's 50, and we've talked about it before, but 50 years ago they did something with people inside of it, launched it to another body where it landed and people got out. Nowadays, they just launch it, it comes right back, and people are going crazy like it's the whole new world. Look at what we've done. It's like, no, you did it 50 years ago, yet you launched it 250,000 miles. People got out and drove around in a cart. But it's not, where's that now?
That's right, but like you said before, they are refining all these methodologies, and it's working every day better,
and that's all part of the propaganda
better
too.
every day.
If you put these people, if you put these people on the screen and they're cheering and yelling and jumping up and down, that only feeds into the public's consciousness that we need to be jumping up and down and celebrating Elon Musk and everything he's doing. It's just the same thing. When you see NASA land a spacecraft on Mars and everybody's cheering and hugging and celebrating and crying, it's the same thing. It just passes it off onto the people who watch. That's the point of the TV.
Man.
That's the point. All they need to do is show you a few people being tested and a few people in China being covered with these gurneys and body bags, and that's all they need to do is show you that a few times, and it passes off as if it's happening in your city.
Exactly, and everything is the, I don't know how to pronounce in English, but it's this idea of the shock doctrine, or
shock doctrine.
Exactly. It's like that for something that are good things, quote unquote good things, but also with the bad things. It's like prints memories and emotions associated with those memories in your brain.
Absolutely. So all they need to do is show you a crisis actor or some lady saying she lost her daughter in some shooting, and mothers at home that are sitting watching the TV, they feel the same, like as if their daughter was shot, as if they lost their son or daughter. It invokes fear. It invokes so many things that wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for that TV. So it's been a tool that they've used to the full extent and will continue to use, because look what they're able to do. Just go outside today.
Exactly. So then, and from this point and beyond, I'm going to use a few times the Steve Jackson card, because it's very a very representative way in terms of art to see our reality. So of course, in all this idea of the alien invention or the UFO or the reinterpretation of the ancient mythologies and religions, we're going to have all the guys that is representing here like conspiracy theorists, and we can see all day long in the TV talking about what they want to create these ideas because if you History Channel, for example, they present Freemasonry lodge controlling United States, but if you start looking very closely at the end of the series, they present like heroes.
Right.
At the beginning it's like, someone is controlling our country in the shadows, but at the end of the series, like, well, they get us free from the colonies of England and
free from religion, free from exactly.
free from religion and free from this. So you can apply that to the UFO. Is going to be the same thing. Of course, the card of Illuminati University, I interpreted, like I mentioned before at the beginning of this series, that is all this Jesuit order controlling the educational system, the educational institution. Choosing people for be in a position of power, and choosing people just to be workers, and keeping all the technology or the real history encapsulated and in enclosed system, behind the doors of the Vatican and another institution that nobody can reach, simply as that. And rewriting history, we can see every in our faces. And the last Friday in your show, I present the Wikipedia, for example, example
That
of
was
the
excellent,
place.
the lighthouse.
The lighthouse, exactly that. It said that supposedly, if you go in to 2013, it's going to say that this lighthouse with the twin lighthouse in Buenos Aires, they are connected via light from 200 kilometers. But if you go in our days and trying to reach the same thing, it's going to tell you that supposedly they fail. They made bad calculations, and the lighthouse never touch. You can never see the lighthouse between Buenos Aires and Uruguay.
Can you imagine?
I presented this very quickly, but
can you imagine building that entire thing and we just got the calculation wrong? Yeah, right. So stupid.
Yeah, so completely stupid. But there is a lot of history behind it.
Right.
That they say we see the light. And
right.
we communicate via this light.
Yeah, you said who won a boxing match or something, right?
Yeah, the original idea is formed by the Italian blah blah blah. The bridge of the light since both places illuminated the night and their beam reached the other coast.
Right.
But when you go to 2019, they say they fail.
Right.
They fail, and they made a bad calculation, so the light never see from the other coast.
Right.
And this is completely in our faces.
Right.
And of course, before.
But imagine if there was no Wayback Machine. I mean, then what you remember is completely wrong. People could just say, "Nope, you're wrong. You read it incorrectly years ago."
Exactly. So here you have it. Finally, due to the calculation error, the light of both headings could never be found. And in fact, if I research and I go to, I believe it was 2016, it said for the curvature of the Earth.
Right.
It's not saying by a calculation error. So they changed 3 times in a period of 8 years. And of course, this has to do with the flat earther community.
Absolutely. That's what happens in a digital, without any doubt. And this is what happens in a digital society, where they're able to change things on the fly and make you believe what they want. It's the same problem with Quora, that site where, people go, they ask questions. Well, of course, the people that they promote and they allow to answer those questions are the ones who spit the mainstream propaganda the best. Those are the answers that get promoted. Those are the answers that become the answers for everyone. It becomes the facts. It becomes the truth, just like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is an ever-changing document. Why? So that they can constantly correct and fix any of what they might call mistakes. It's not mistakes. It's history being rewritten.
Political correction.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
It's a political correction. But, the idea behind showing this kind of tiny evidence is that represent all this step perfectly. We are in the first step of the blue beam. We have more than proof to corroborate that.
Yeah.
Without any kind of doubt. And of course, this image here, and like you said before, we live in a digital society, so it's much, much easier than the old times. But in the old times, they burned books. All the books was written by people in the church, because nobody had access to read and write, because everyone out there was, they don't have the education to do that.
So it's all scribes who could have been told to write anything. Just imagine you've got a king breathing down your neck that says you're going to write this and this and change this and this. And if you say no, well, then they'll kill you and they'll get somebody else in there who will write exactly what they want.
Exactly. Like RP12 said, monks did that on 15th century and completely.
Right. And then we
Of
don't even
course.
have, people think that there's books from the year 300 or the books from the year 70 or the books from the year 500 or 900, and there just isn't. Those are all copies of copies. So imagine, we don't even have books from 1,000 years ago. You may think we do.
No.
They've taught you that we do, but we don't. They are simply written.
No.
Now, again, there's a book written in 1600 that says it's copying off of a book from 1200 that says it copied off a book from 300, and it copied off a book from 100 BC, and people believe that. They just believe it.
Yeah, and the Inquisition was created for these purposes.
Absolutely.
I mean, to cut off and take out information.
Correct.
And we can see even on movies in 20th centuries, the Inquisition, the modern Inquisition said, no, that movie, it's prohibited, for, I don't know how to pronounce, sorry, but because this part and that part is too much for the public, so take
Right.
away.
Take it out.
So take it out. Yeah, sorry, take it out. So if we keep going in this interpretation that we have been, misled about the interpretation of the original civilization or ancient cultures, of course, now in our days, with the eyes of flat earthers, we have been understood that all the ancient cosmology represent the flat Earth and stationary Earth in a closed system, but supposedly we have been wrong about this interpretation. So then here you can see again that first step completely in our faces being pushed, right? Then you have the modern things that they start changing ideas like the Stonehenge or the crop cycles or these phenomena of the earth magic, this kind of behavior that maybe nature has, and everything is related with this kind of topic all the time. And I mentioned before, but for those who are new to this topic, Robert Plot was an English naturalist, first professor of chemistry in the University of Oxford, and the first keeper of the Ashmolean Museum, and I'm going to show you what that means. And Robert Plot was the guy. This same guy was the guy that presents to the community the idea of this type of dinosaurs and the idea of the crop cycles. But at that time was the devil, a demon, not an alien.
Right.
So that is why in our days
They just
people
changed it, updated it.
They change it. Exactly. They change it. So, and if you go, to a person that research about UFO and do it very seriously, they're going to, because they don't have any exit from this thing, which is the most important crop cycle out there is these two crop cycles, the Chilbonton crop cycles, and then in the same place that the ants were. And this is the direct connection with SETI and with NASA. Because supposedly this message is a response to the disc, the gold disc inside the Voyager 1.
That Sagan sent out, yeah.
Exactly. So the thing is, and I mentioned in this same way so many times before, but it's like who's going to believe that a spacecraft was, traveling at the one-on-one with the Voyager without touching the spacecraft, take the disc, analyze, then put it again without even moving. And why I say that? Because in the daily basis news on televisions, NASA is presenting that after 34 years, the Voyager is still working and sending us messages.
Right.
So they don't report any kind of, hey, the spacecraft is moving
Somebody
to the
grabbed it.
side. Someone is pulling, trying to take out the disc.
No, they put it
But
back.
the
Put
thing is
it
that-
back in perfect orbit. They just.
In perfect orbit, exactly. But the real thing in our real life is that the UFO community need this kind of interpretation, because
Absolutely.
why, otherwise, where the hell this message came from?
Right. They can't be
And,
that it's fake. It can't be that it's something else. It's got to be aliens.
It's got to be aliens, exactly. So the guy who presented the dinosaurs and the crop cycles was a Freemason. The response in our real life and connected with the blue beam is that we have these two crop cycles, and very convenient because it's at the garden of the Chilbolton Observatory, right? So
Right.
they are the owners of the crop cycle. They have
sure
all
they
the
didn't-
time they need to do
Right,
it.
exactly. I was going to say there's nobody even close to there that nobody would even know.
Exactly. So this is this news is in Spanish, but supposedly after 36 years of flying, the Voyager 1 was abandoned our solar system and blah blah blah. But the idea is that someone must go side by side and take that gold disc, analyze, interpret. Of course, because the civilization is much intelligent than us.
Oh, it would have been so cool if we would have had a nice... Why don't we have a video camera on there so we could watch them come and reach out and grab the disc and play it on their record player?
No.
Oh, it'd be so great.
Shannon, please. Why they don't come and present it?
No,
in
it's
front
better.
Of us?
It's
Why
better
they
to
need
put
to
it in.
do this kind of message.
It's better to put it in
crypto
fields.
message?
They got to put it in fields. They can't come too close. Last time they came close, they crashed at Roswell. So they can't get too close. They have to send and crop the fields.
Yes, exactly. So if you make it like a reverse engineering, you can see why dinosaurs are just our regular animals out there that are green and rude and strong, and they make it a little big.
Right.
They add horns, and this is a dinosaur.
Right.
Simply as that. That is my opinion. But now, how they connect that? Well, this was sent by a guy that is a friend of mine that is a pilot, a commercial pilot. And in one of the airports, there was like a cinema. And now the dinosaurs are alien zoos. It's not just dinosaurs. Now there are dinosaurs mixed with UFO. And of course, you can see this in some kind of shock way or funny way. But this is brainwashing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know how important it is to print a message in your brain at certain age, and then triggering when you are an adult. As simply as that.
Well, we talked about it. We already said that all the Jesuits who said it and everybody else that give me a child to the age of 7 and we'll own him for life. So they just need to, and of course they put the children in front of the TV and they've got the cartoons. The cartoons are all about the dinosaurs. Excuse me, alien cartoon. It just puts it in the head at an age, and then it's too hard to get rid of. I mean, it's very difficult for some of us who are at the age we're at. Luckily, we didn't have probably as much TV as the children have today.
Yes, exactly. And for the thing about the crop cycles, I present this so many times before, and there are new ones. But here you can see really, really fine, detailed crop cycles made it by regular people, just 3 guys without any financial agenda behind it, with just good tables and strings, ropes, and do it at night, and they make it very precisely work. Of course, I'm not trying to discredit for those who believe in what they believe. This is just my opinion. I think that in some kind of hoax of this size, you're gonna have involved militaries or some kind of technology that we don't use. The important thing here is like if you go to a logical path, it's like saying, hey man, I mean, the UFOs are making better crop cycles along the time. I mean, why they start with so crappy crop cycle in 1600?
Right.
And now they have these perfect, super perfect crop cycles.
Right.
That is because someone
is perfecting it.
It's perfecting. Exactly,
Right.
man. I mean, if you are an advanced technology civilization, you are, you are not going to perfect in 300 years. You are superior than that, right?
Right. You should have gotten it right in 1600, of course.
Exactly. So they start like this, and now they have these complex patterns, but you can recreate for yourself. And of course, if you have an agenda behind, and you have money to do that, and maybe you have some kind of technology behind that, it's going to be much easier, of course. And I leave it there. But the thing is that all the
Whoop, we lost you again, Iru. Hold up. Sorry, folks. Please wait a second. For some reason, the sound goes off sometimes here. On Iru's feed. Hope you guys are enjoying it. We are listening to Iru Landucci. And part 2 of his presentation from the Spanish conference on the NASA Bluebeam project. And we'll get him back here shortly. Iru.
You're there?
Okay, there we go. Sorry, you were gone for a little while.
Sorry, maybe my connection is a little low. Sorry for that. But
that's good. Go
what
ahead.
What I was mentioning, it was like Robert Plot, the guy who presents the dinosaurs and the crop cycles, was the first keeper of Ashmolean Museum, and Elias Ashmole, the guy who created the museum, he's considered one of the father of Freemasonry and contributed to this extensive knowledge related to Egyptian and Hermetic symbols. He dealt with astrologers, alchemists, mathematicians. He founded the Royal Society of London and the Philosophical Society of Oxford, and he is the father of the modern Freemasonry. So again, you have the connection. Again. So I believe with these few examples, I believe that the first step is completely probably, and in fact, it's running in our faces right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
As we speak.
They've completed that.
It's getting better.
Quite well.
So the first step for me, without any doubt, they are doing it. The second step, the gigantic space shows. You don't tell me nothing about my pronunciation. It's a little better.
It's good. It's really great. I'm
it's
impressed.
Good. Nobody complain in the chat, at least.
I'm not watching the chat, but I'm sure they are complaining. But that's all right. It's much better.
Okay,
you got so much better in 1 week. It's impressive.
It's the corona, man.
Yeah, you probably got sick.
Start melting my DNA, and
Pretty soon we're all gonna speak one language. Thank goodness.
One language, yeah.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
So the gigantic, see, I can't talk now. The gigantic space show, 3D optical and sound holograms, laser projections of multiple holographic images in different parts of the world, each receiving a different image according to their original default national religious faith. This new image of God will speak in all languages. But again, we'll talk about how they don't really need this, or have already done it, really.
Exactly. But the idea behind the presentation is to say, well, they have it right now, the technology, or at least they are on the way to achieve this kind of technology, or maybe this is too much and they change it completely and they go to another path which is more easily to do, but the main goal still remain. Okay, so that is the idea. But if you go directly to this, the technologies, and I am not an expert on this, so maybe there are people out there that maybe they see this information and they can comment, with links provided, new information or better information that are different that I'm going to present. But the thing, the thing is, in the document, this is literally what is said in the document presenting in the 1980s. So in our days, of course, I'm gonna play this and comment on comment over the video. But supposedly in 1972 was released this 3D holographic technology, if you want to see it in that way, which is an holographic technology, very standard. Presented. This is a documentary presented by Kodak. And they teach you how you can print an holographic thing into a plane surface. Because what we need to understand behind this is like, if we have some kind of screen up there, we can present like three-dimensional images. Yes, we can do it. At least we can do it here with special surfaces. In this case, there are special films But at the end, you have this perception of depth, but in a plane surface. It could be like a flat paper, or it could be this kind of cylindrical shape to present this 3D holographic thing. Of course, at that time was like a monochrome thing. They show us the Apollo, lander,
Right.
because in every document, this is blue bin, and we mentioned this before. I mean, every time you are opening the newspaper and see news about asteroid, comets, SpaceX, is a blue bin, because, and again, we mentioned this before, but the most easy things to do is to print an holographic image in your brain.
So easy.
So easy, because after all, if they put just a tiny white point in the sky, the idea is that if they say that tiny white point is a spacecraft,
Right.
200 kilometers in the sky, you're going to believe it.
There's
Because your brain is going to interpret it that a tiny white point is a spacecraft.
Or some sort of sun, 2 billion miles wide or 1 million miles wide. Or you're going to believe that a star, that little dot in the sky, is a sphere. It's a huge sphere.
Exactly. It's a huge sphere. So I put this because the documentary is much longer than 1 minute. I resume in 1 minute, but along the documentary, they show so many times the spacecraft and things from Apollo, and because of course at that time, maybe in 72, there was this massive hysteria about the moon landings and the fans talking about the moon landings, but they put it right there. So if you are just a regular guy studying holography, there's the message. That is the blue beam thing. So that is how it started the holography. And of course, it's much, much older, because I remember when I was at Italy, in Milan, which is a city, and I go there to the film museum, and I believe was in the 18th centuries they created the holographic photos. So you have the device, the old device. It's like a box of good, and with 2 holes with lenses, and you put the eyes there, and you see like a picture in 3-dimensional, but super 3-dimensional. And we are talking about goods, good box, and
right.
and some old pictures in black and white in the early 18th centuries, and they performed the 3D optics, illusions. So in our days, if you want to transfer this, okay, I understand the idea behind it, but how they going to apply to the Blue Beam project? Well, if you start consider that we have the way to project images on the air right now, it's called laser plasma emission displays and helio displays, and this is all videos, because these videos are from 2016.
Right. Some of the stuff they're doing today is way past that. Yeah.
Way past. So we have this, very poor quality image, which is just tiny point of light. But again, that is a fleet of spacecraft in the sky.
Right.
Your brain
Musk,
makes
Elon Musk
the
put
next
it up there.
step. Exactly. Yeah, the Starlink. That is a Starlink fleet of satellite. And then you have another more advanced. This is just full color, and the name is a nice name, because it's helio display. Life-size mid-earth display system is a machines that drop like
little
vapor.
particles, huh? Yeah, vapor.
Yeah, exactly. And the light make the rest. And the sphere, again, blue beam there in your face, and the heliocentric model. But you have the chance to do that in a small office, okay? Because this is just commercial devices. It's not intent for hoax the whole world, right? But they make money along the way, just simply as that. So if you go now a little more advanced and a little more big, you have this technology applying to vapor, with a full color in a huge size in comparison to an office size. And if you turn off the light or you wait that the night comes, you're gonna have these super holographic images. You have Albert Einstein, of course, and the atom model right away. But the idea is our sky is made of vapor or gases. So if they need it, if they want to, they can project these kind of things through a drone or a plane.
Look at the Saturn launching there at the end.
Exactly. So for me, I don't know if they have the technology right away to do it, but they are in the good path.
And especially
if
you believe, which I tend to have to believe sometimes, that maybe they're not 20 years ahead of us, 50 years ahead of us, like some people believe, but they are ahead of what the everyday person has and can afford. So if this is what some company can produce, you have to imagine they have something far superior.
Completely agree. Yeah, and in fact, and let me just add another layer on top. Everything that we see from the ground to the sky, we have this distortion produced by the turbulence of the air, right? So they don't even need to put out there a super, crispy images.
No, it doesn't need
because
to be
after all, so it's simply as that. So, but if you go a next step in terms of, because this is everything is commercial thing, but there is this paper, and this is for real. I'm not, the things that are presented here, you can find it by yourself and see what I'm talking about. This is not some kind of conspiracy thing, or maybe it's my interpretation, and my interpretation is wrong. But the document, you can find it for yourself.
Right.
So there was this old in terms, because it was presented in February of 1998. So imagine in our days, if you want to, maybe there was this kind of research was discontinued, and maybe they don't do it anymore. We don't know that, at least yet. But the idea is the Army research, and again, you can see the militaries behind it. They present this idea of 3D holographic display using strontium, barium, and neobate. I don't know if I pronounce it well.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, so here you start, at least my opinion is that you need to start to connect it with the chemtrails and all these, particles released in the upper atmosphere. Maybe they have multiple objectives behind release these kind of particles, because there is no longer a conspiracy theory that there is chemtrails, okay? That was officialized. If you type it in Wikipedia, the first thing is going to appear is a plane, making like a cone type of spread. And they say, we are spreading heavy particles in the upper atmosphere because we need to reflect the sunrise and stop heating the world.
Warming,
so they are doing it in our faces right now. So if you start going into the past and some news, you're going to find that all the time NASA and other space agencies, they are make research with this type of sounding rocket.
Absolutely.
Rocket having barium release system to create ion clouds in the upper atmosphere. NASA rocket produce another barium clouds. The purpose maybe, and I again leave clear, maybe this kind of experiment was intended for other purposes.
Right.
But if you connect this with the military paper, what you're going to find is that specifically the 3D holographic display using strontium and barium is related to produce in real time the resultant. Please read it Can you read it for me, please, the abstract?
Sure. An innovative technique for generating a three-dimensional holographic display using strontium, barium, niobate is discussed. The resultant image is a hologram that can be viewed in real time over a wide perspective or field of view. The holographic image is free from system-induced aberrations and has a uniform high quality over the entire field of view. Keep going.
Can you? Yeah, please.
The enhanced image quality results from using a phase conjugate read beam generated from a second photorefractive crystal acting as a double-pumped phase conjugate mirror. Multiple three-dimensional images have been stored in the crystal via wavelength multiplexing.
Okay, multiplexing. That word is remind me that Scott Kelly.
Multiplexer, demultiplexer.
Maybe they are installing that in the sky.
Yeah, maybe they're installing it up
After
above
all.
us. Sure. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
but this tells you
I
right here, and
present
these are what
this-
some of the things we've been saying for a long time of these different launches, of these different views in the sky. You have no idea what is being seen there. But go ahead.
Exactly. So the idea, I put this image as a representation of what I imagine that they can do. If they have a medium and with certain kinds of density and properties in terms of photorefractive, you can produce an image.
Anything,
like we see in the water, in the vapor, in the air, in the screen, wherever.
Right.
So if you imagine, for example, this is not intended to compare this with our atmosphere, but is to have the idea. This is just for a gift. This is the face of
Steve Jobs, I think.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. Sorry, Steve Jobs. Presenting inside of a plastic cube, and you can print the holographic view, and then you have the possibility to make the rotation, blah 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 blah. The fact is that if you connect this, with this and this is official record, and I need to use the Wayback Machine because they deleted. Because this was for official web page, and at least it's something that is some kind of interesting information to trying to connect dots. Nothing more than that.
Right.
Why you are laughing?
Because it says it supports PSYOP and strategic deception management.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the point, and I have the document. I have the PDF. This is the web page is www.au.af.mil/blah blah 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 blah. So the point 5.6 airborne holographic projector, and if you can read it, I'm going to appreciate it.
Sure. It says brief description. The holographic projector displays a three-dimensional visual image in a desired location removed from the display generator. The projector can be used for psychological operations and strategic perception management. It is also useful for optical deception and cloaking, providing a momentary distraction when engaging an unsophisticated adversary. And then for the capabilities, it says precision projection of 3D visual images into a selected area, supports PSYOP and strategic deceptive management, provides deception and cloaking against optical sensors.
And then the rest is something like it is a technological thing, blah, blah, blah. The fact is that this is 30 years ago that they present this. I don't know the stage, at what stage this is.
So think of where technology is 30 years ago versus now, except for don't look at space travel, because, of course, space travel is the only known technology ever to go backwards and be stalled for 50 years for God knows what reason. But go ahead.
Exactly. So the thing is that at least this second point, that they don't need it because they are using this for me and put this idea through series and media in our heads.
Right.
And then everything that we can see up in the sky, even a balloon, is a UFO.
Right.
So they are reached the point that they don't need it anymore, but maybe they need it. So they have the technology. I believe, yes, they have, or at least they are on the way.
They're on the way.
And they are in the very
close. Very close.
Very close. Exactly. Very close. So the thing is that, of course, and I'm going to, go a little fast in this part because these are all news and maybe someone could help to add into chemtrails research. But the idea to present this is official news stories and official document that all the time from 70s, 60s, and 50s, NASA was conduct experiments with sounding rockets and releasing all this heavy metal up in the atmosphere to study the electrical field of the Earth, because we are surrounded by electrical type of field. All right, so you have it from the 50s, studying the upper atmosphere and releasing all these type of gases or heavy particles up in the sky. The ones who are interested, they can pause the video and read for yourself, and just type in the title, and you are going to find the official document to read in extensive way. We have our modern experiments that doesn't have anything to do with blue beam. It's just like the study of the electrical and magnetic fields in our Earth upper atmosphere. But at least for me, all these kind of things you have to have in mind. I believe a lot of things they use to cover up some satellite technology, because it's much easier to say, no, that is a UFO, then if you need to start to explain to the people, no, that is a balloon
telecommunications thing, right? Yeah, of course, people would flip out. It's easier to say, oh, we don't know, unidentified.
Exactly. And of course, chemtrails and antenna are very, very related. Again, this is not for a blue beam perspective, but I present it and I leave it there for everyone to want to investigate a little deeper. But the fact is that when the second step in the blue beam project talks about the gigantic space show, is this, and it's happening. Right. I mean, we have NASA. The stories about the moon base or Nazis going to the moon because they want control the moon and control the world. The stories behind meteor strike. Every day we have these stories. The idea that NASA use, we can't run out with tape, so we record over. The L4 Society, the killer satellite, the orbiters, the ISS, the science fiction fans all the time, of course. But we have power satellite, spy satellite, nuclear capability, the comet, everything. All this is the gigantic space show, and it's happening.
And people believe it all, without even needing to do a space show. It is a space show. This is a space show, exactly, and it's completely related to blue beam. That is my point of view. Okay, so if we go more specific to this topic, one of the best. And the other thing is, don't you think that they could convince people that they're talking about doing this gigantic space show, and then when that doesn't happen, people say, "Oh, it didn't happen," but they don't even need that. It can all take place with just the mental image.
Exactly, but I want to expand a little bit on. We are good in time, or you want to stop here, or?
It's up to you. I mean, we can stop whenever. If you are, so how many more slides do you have? Do you want to do a part 3?
Yeah, maybe we can do a part 3 and attacking the part 3, all that spiritual part behind the New Age and the New World Order. Okay, we can finish this technological part and then stop there.
You tell me when to
stop. Maybe I have like 30 more slices.
Let's do it.
Okay. Perfect. So if we start to divide this in terms of one of the most effective ways to penetrate your mind,
right?
At least in terms of the idea of UFOs, is the meteor strikes and the satellites. It's one of the more effective ways to relate it to the UFO. So if we go to this, you can call this the weaponized space, right?
Right. Yeah.
In some way you can do it that. So how this is related in our real life? Of course, I'm going to play the video from Caroline Rosin. So for live on the record and use this as a starting point, if you allow me.
Great.
Okay, I go.
My name is Carol Rosen. I'm an educator who became the first woman corporate manager of an aerospace company, Fairchild Industries. I'm a space and missile defense consultant. I've consulted to a number of companies, organizations, government departments, even the intelligence community. I was a consultant to TRW, working on the MX missile. So I was part of that strategy, which turned out to be a role model for how to sell space-based weapons to the public. And I founded the Institute for Security and Cooperation in Outer Space, a Washington, D.C.-based think tank. I'm an author and have testified before the Congress, the President's Commission on Space, and to a number of committees of that kind of relevance. When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. But he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun had a history of working with weapon systems. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea, and about the alternatives that are available. And as practically a deathbed speech, he educated me about those concepts and who the players were in this game. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him, and that was the strategy that was being used to educate the public and decision makers, and the scare tactics, the spin that was being put on a weapon system. And that was how we identify an enemy. The enemy, at first, he said, the enemy against whom we're going to build a space-based weapon system that he thought was a ridiculous idea, unnecessary and very dangerous, not to mention too costly, etc. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. A lie. I think I was too naive to know at that time the seriousness of the nature of the spin that was being put on this system. And now the pieces are starting to fall into place. We're building a space-based weapon system based on a premise that is a lie, a spin. I have concluded that it's based on a few people making a lot of money and gaining power. It's about ego. It's not about our essence and who we really are on the planet and loving each other and being at peace and cooperating, using technologies to solve problems and heal people in the planet. It isn't about that. It's about a few people who really are playing an old, dangerous, costly game for their own pocketbooks and power struggle. That's all it is.
Very clearly, right?
One of the most telling interviews, ever. I mean, she just spells it out right there for you. It's a very old game. It's a very dangerous game. It's a lie. It's people in power controlling the masses and taking their freedoms away for nonsense. That's what we've been trying to tell people for 5 years.
Exactly, and nonsense for us, but for them is a magic card.
Absolutely.
At least that is my point
one
of
of the
view.
most powerful ones, yeah.
Exactly. In fact, we had Donald Trump saying, sometimes I think how we're going to make it without space, right? Something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So that phrase, it's completely linked to this moment in time with this kind of thing.
And complete bullshit. It has nothing to do with anything. The whole idea of Space Force and everything to do with space is just nonsense. Even if you look at this whole coronavirus thing, thank goodness space is around, or else what would happen? No, it has nothing to do with that. Space is completely a story in your mind, much like this coronavirus can be.
Exactly. So the thing is that, well, how this start transferring in our real life. Well, right now, you have all these kind of ideas. For example, National Geographic in Spanish said, hide if you can. And they present these super cool images from satellites looking from the sky, like being gods, looking what you are doing to blame you, and this is a religion. I mean, all the aspect of space, starting from people that use white dresses, coming from the clouds and being heroes, like avatars, to this point of having, these gods of technology looking us to blame us or to persecute us. Everything is based on religion thing. That's my point of view, right?
Mine too. It's all based on either you can use it as an entertainment standpoint, or you can use it as a religious standpoint, or you can. Basically it's an open slate. When you're talking about places, just like Narnia. I mean, I've talked about it before, but once you step through the wardrobe, imagine what's possible for them to convince you of is on the other side of the wardrobe. It's inevitable. It's unending. It can be anything. It can be everything. It can be they can use it for whatever they want, and that's what space is, and they will continue to use it for whatever they want. And like Iru said, it could be from a religious place that's where the religious people and the gods go, and where they live, and where they reside, and where they come from. It can also be where we're being spied on from, where everything that they want to tell you, and you have no choice but to believe it in today's society.
Yeah, but the ultimate goal is social control. It doesn't matter if you see from entertainment point of view or religious point of view. It's to control you,
right?
Without any kind of so. Then you have,
with no facts,
for example,
with no facts or reality behind it. It can just be a story. It's
no reality base. Yes,
it's like creating a cartoon and convincing the world that what's going on in, maybe it's the Smurfs. The Smurfs will take over one day. The Smurfs do this. The Smurfs do that. Well, of course, we don't believe that because it's a cartoon. The same thing is true of outer space. Yet people believe it because it's presented to you as if it's real.
Exactly. And then you have all these ideas transferred into real events for common people, with the MIT, space, the new great war field of humanity. And nobody fight up there.
No, right.
But nobody fight. But because, we have all these satellite greed from China, from United States, from Russia. It's a space scenario, it's a war, a field of humanity. Then you have, for example, the BBC, how space became the new theater of war. And that, for me, is one of the most coherent and, very telling, title between Russia, China, and United States. So this is part of the gigantic show space. Mm-hmm. So this is happening. With this kind of this is blue beam projecting in your mind. This is and in fact, and I showed this so many times before, but speaking about missiles and things like that, I really love this. Putin lost his supposedly invulnerable nuclear weapon, blah blah blah. But the fact is that supposedly Russia present this nuclear
this is my favorite
crucial missile. Yeah. So they show all real images from the spacecraft being to space, but this is a missile going up into the sky. They use this real footage, but then suddenly they change to digital, and supposedly, and this was presented for politicians and people that supposedly is going to put money on this project,
right?
And supposedly this is the capability of the missile, passing over mountains and
Avoiding radar.
radars, and with unlimited power because it's powering by a nuclear source inside the rocket, and then they drop it into the Pacific Ocean. But this is official news, and they present this as like a marketing thing.
Right.
They presented, and I just played this video. If you go to the official story behind it, they presented like, Russia, we're going to develop this technology, and we can, this was the this was the real event,
right?
Putin selling this technology.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one weaponized space, this is.
And you talk about scaring people. I mean, of course, we do whatever we need to do. We need to start a space force because look at these rockets are coming from Russia soon.
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. So that's one way. Other way to weaponize space is, playing with this space weather.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are threat because the solar winds can destroy our magnetic fields and everything's going to go crazy. But, you can take it as just like something to laugh. But the real thing is that they create all these committees and put money and invited scientists and give it orders and make it public, and not just one session. This was the first session, and this was like 2014, something like that. So in our days, we have even created in the 1970s the Earth Day, the Asteroid Day. So all that kind of things is part of the gigantic show space and trying to threat using this is a external threat. That is why for me they start changing things in terms of that maybe the ultimate goal to create the new world order could be and must be related with some kind of messiah. But in the meantime, they start using all these threats.
They can have multiples, and the multiples can be different tests to see what will stick, what won't stick, what are people really afraid of, what are they not afraid of. But yeah, they have many different avenues they can go down.
Exactly. And for example, one of the most important ones was the global warming. That is one of the most important things to weaponize space and use that as a gun for us. Right. So let me just play this short video.
Yep.
Because sorry for being repetitive, but for me, these kind of videos representing how they manifestate in our dense reality the ideas that they planning into paper. Because sometimes we see a lot of paper or images or documents, and people maybe believe that no, but that is just a document, that doesn't come reality. So how they make reality, how they create an idea to make reality? Well, this is the tool that they use. Politicians, televisions, meetings, scientist meetings, all this kind of thing. So let me just play this.
You are part of the first generation of officers to begin your service in a world where the effects of climate change are so clearly upon us. All of which is why the Pentagon calls climate change a threat multiplier.
So the Pentagon called a threat multiplier the weather.
Por eso el Pentágono.
Sorry, this part is Spanish part, but they are talking because they use these kind of actors like Leonardo DiCaprio, so they make all this document about the global warming and things like that. So right now they are talking, saying Obama is, talk with Leonardo and saying, well, Leonardo, that is why the Pentagon came and said us like the most important threat out there is the weather. It's a climate change, So, and they, from politicians to actors and to actors to common people. Then you have, for example, this other Skull and Bone member, trying to this comparison is for me is one of the most well, you can put a word better than me.
Epidemics.
Gracias por su gran labor.
Epidemics. Poverty. The proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The reality is that climate change ranks right up there with every single
one.
Right.
So the climate change right now, it's worse than the nuclear bomb, if you want to believe in that. What a better way to put fear in people than this way?
Right. And again, it can really be anything. They can, at this point, it's becoming obvious that they can use anything. And it's always these threats that nobody can see. Nobody
can see, right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's super genius the way that these guys play. And in fact, remember that supposedly all the crazy thing of the space weather is related to the sun, corona section, because the sun is the god, so right. It has a corona. It has a yes. corona in top of the head right. with the rays. And I presented this before, but supposedly this is really funny because in the 50s, 59 in fact, Disney produced a piece of video to indoctrinate people in their homes, talking about the space, the space things, the space things.
Of course.
Why it's important to go to space and study space. And
just imagine they did that since 1959. In all their videos, they talked about soon man will be on the moon. Soon man will be in space. Soon man. So of course they had no choice after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of that than to tell people that they went there. They couldn't come back and say, exactly. Oops, we didn't go. Oops, we can't go to space. Oops, there's a barrier there. No, it has to be, we did go to space. We're going to continue going to space. And how do we have evidence of that? Well, we just need to look at now and see that they are no longer going there.
Yes, and before going there is a science factual presentation.
Oh, science factual.
Yeah.
Nice.
So nice. So they present and I compare at the same time. So Disney, without any kind of space telescope like Soho or something like that,
no.
They present to the public the mass corona section of the sun. Right? Look at that miniature. I mean, this is a model, mm-hmm. man. This is a model,
mm-hmm.
But they combine and they mix with supposedly real footage.
With cartoons.
Blah, blah, blah. So the thing is that... yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
You need to laugh. But the idea is that this was made here on Earth on Disney Studio. But 20 years later, the Skylab has a telescope mount, and they film through the window with this telescope mount the solar corona section, and it's the fucking same thing.
Yeah, it's so.
And if you compare this with our day's corona section, nothing has to do with this.
No.
So what happened to the sun? I mean, right now it's a super electrical field, going here and going there.
Right.
But supposedly this was real.
Right.
Filming from space.
Yeah, right.
So, well, for me, again, one more time.
Look at the sun on the right.
Yeah. So this is another way to weaponize, weaponize the space, use against us, and of course, being part of this idea of the gigantic space show.
And remember, on the left the left is Disney. Please remember that.
Yeah. This Disney.
Yeah,
this Disney and this NASA.
Right. Before anybody ever went in orbit, before there's anything like that.
Yes. So that is the special eyepiece for looking into the sun and film and record the corona of the sun and the mass section. So look at that. Look this part of the video.
Right.
This part, like maybe it's a piece of something in your fireplace, but it's very convincing in terms of if you start to compare this with our day simulation, computer simulation. I believe this is better.
Yeah. And yet that's there when there's
it's more believable.
That's a Donald Duck view or something.
Yeah. So I believe this has some audio. Let me. Yeah. So supposedly these are the phone calls from or the radio call from the Skylab team trying to explain what they see.
Because the light that we see comes from light radiated by hydrogen atoms in the sun's atmosphere. Now, this light is in the visible wavelength range, and you can actually see these pictures on the ground as well. They're about the only instruments that we have of that nature. And we use them here because we see much of the fine detail on the sun at these wavelengths radiated by the hydrogen atoms. For example, we can see sunspots. We can see network. We can see filaments. All of these things.
We can see Mickey Mouse.
Now, the next display that I'd like to discuss briefly is a white light coronagraph. Now, this coronagraph also records or images pictures in the visible part of the wavelength. But it has a very unique picture, which makes it something that cannot be observed very often from the ground. And this is, it has some occulting discs out in front of the telescope, so that the center of the image, the disk of the sun, is blotted out, and all we see is the very faint light coming in from the solar corona. Now, those of us on the ground can only see this at those very infrequent intervals when we have a total eclipse of the sun. Now up here,
and blah, 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 blah. And everything is filming from the ground. But the thing is that how is this related to a UFO? Well, first of all, what happened to this sun corona ejection? I mean, look at that.
Right.
How the sun could change so much from this to this.
Right.
And this is official
the
from
sun
NASA
is always
images.
The sun is always changing. I mean, look how much it's changed in the last 50 years.
Yeah, man. Yeah, look at that. It's amazing. And then you have all this kind of story that is related to the public and the UFO community get crazy. I don't know if you remember that this was supposedly, this is a spacecraft, taking energy from the sun to power the,
I've seen all that
turbine,
stuff.
engine, thruster, whatever.
Yeah.
So all the time they are using that to connect with the alien thing. And I believe you see you watch the video that the NASA former astrophysicist said that, well, all these colors are fake. We make it because the reality is that we film in black and white and nobody likes black and white image, so we add all these,
we add all the colors.
All the thing that it's related with super electrical fields bending by the magnetic surge, everything of that is CGI. We add it to present to the public because if not, nobody is going to read our news. So right in your face.
Or they could just go even further than that and say, oh, what we film in the outer galaxies is not even in the visual spectrum. So it comes back, it's data, and then we reassemble the data into what our artists think it will look like, of course.
Yes, exactly. So another way to weaponize the space and use against us and use as a blue bean is not use politicians, but use musicians. And we have this type of Newton, Isaac Newton type of haircut, and the guitar leader of Queen. He's an astrophysicist, so now he's very concerned, and he asked for much and more money to save the world. So
the first asteroid day last year, 2015, was a huge success, and it made a start in raising global awareness of a possible asteroid strike. The next asteroid day is June the 30th, 2016, and we're encouraging people to mount their own events on that day and make Asteroid Day truly global. So schools, universities, museums, we have lots of material on the website, and please get into it and help to raise global awareness.
Global awareness of Asteroid Day.
If you type right now, Brian May and Asteroid Day, you're gonna find tons of articles, videos, money, founding. It's crazy thing. But the idea behind that is like a fear, threat, external threat coming in our world, and we can.
Again, it's things you can't see, it's things you can't prove, it's things you just have to believe. Believe what you're being told because it's gonna kill you if you don't.
Exactly. So, we have companies that produce artificial meteor shower or artificial comet, artificial light in the skies. That is why we see, not because these companies, but I mean, they can simulate and emulate all the colors that we see in the sky. We discussed this topic so many times before, but
just different gases. Yeah, we talked about it on Globebusters many
yeah,
times.
exactly. So here you can read it because it's Spanish, but that is a globular light, and if you or it's related with from the family of the Sprite, but that is not a comet. That is electrical discharge, and that is why they produce this stream of so-called fire. Nobody found it. Nobody ever, see some of these impact into some kind of building or something like that. So you have you have artificial companies, and then you have like natural phenomena that occurs up in the sky. So you can use the natural phenomena to relate it with the space stories, or you can use a company to produce it for some kind of objectives, explicit objectives, which could be, for example, fake an alien invasion, or some kind of we need to put money to study the sky because look at what happened. We found a meteor strike, and then you have all the meteors related with missiles and these kind of metal balls falling from the sky. That's metal. Just for the record, let me just in the other monitor, this kind of things that everyone knows that it's from military ground, because there are just bombs or things that they are testing. But of course, for the alien UFO community, this ball is the same thing of this ball falling from the sky. So again, you have this related connection. Everything is connected right now with space and UFOs, even meteors. And of course, we have the man-made comets from the 50s, charged by NASA, experiments conducted by NASA. Artificial comet playing outer space around the clock are man-made and man-launched. They are finding out what our astronauts may run into their walks in space. Special optical equipment is used to film the behavior of this comet, providing a record of the events that are invisible to the human eye. And you can go to the news and there is all over the place. Doesn't matter the year. For example, this was 1984. This is the man-made comet. So trying to connect this with the Halley comet,
right?
All that kind of event that is no more than connect you to the heliocentric model. And if you are a heliocentric believer, you're going to believe in UFOs and all these kind of. So again, this is from Germany and Russia creating artificial comets, using the barium clouds. And they are making all the same thing. So this is of course, one of the most important gigantic show space. But the most important for me, it's of course the moon landing and all these nonsense spacecraft. We discussed this many times before, so I'm going to just go very quickly. But again, this is part of the show. This is part of the once they put these ideas into your head, then they can use for whatever they need. They can use for entertainment. They can use for Blue Beam project. They can use for ask you for money. They can use for threat you.
For scare you, yeah.
It's a white letter. It's a white check. I don't know how you call this.
Well, it's a blank check, or I call it an open slate, or
open slate.
Yeah, anything you want.
It's an open slate.
Yeah.
This picture is amazing because here you can see all the front projection technique and how the real scenario trying to mix with the projection.
Mm-hmm.
And from NASA official pictures, you have this one. This is
Right.
one of the most from projection evidence ever.
It's
you know,
so
I mean,
obvious.
This is a really high quality image.
Anybody who looks at that and thinks that that is a real background is on another land.
Yes,
probably on the moon.
And here you can see the other one, and it's the same spot, with the same mountain, and supposedly now the rock's gone, and it's the lamp there with the tiny car, things like that. So I really like this. What is the most difficult things to do on the moon? Be on your knees for more than 2 seconds, and I mean,
wonder
who
why.
can explain this? Man, why? First of all, he hit, the foot with a risk or to creating creating a hole in the boot and die immediately in front of all humanity on television. Then why he cannot stand on the knees on the moon? What's the problem behind? I mean,
should be easier.
So for me, this is the kind of thing that if you are an educated person, you was in university or school, you cannot defend this type of thing. I mean, come on.
No, and I've even heard people starting to talk more and more too about their entire suit is covered in dust and dirt and silt, and that's impossible with no moisture. That dust would come right off. You shouldn't have filthy clothing on the moon. Just another thing I'm hearing.
Yeah.
New things all the time. Look at all that mud is just it's like mud. Well, you need moisture in order to create mud, to create dirt on the pants. Otherwise, it would just fall right off.
Yeah, but the thing is, that is a very technical stuff. If you compare with this simple action,
right?
I mean,
just getting down on your knees should be easy.
For example, exactly. I mean, okay, I need to get on my knees and pick up that tool.
Right.
Okay, do it. Well, but for do that, I need to start going in circles, take action, more speed, and then poop. All
zero
that
sense.
for taking a tool on the ground, man. I mean, come on. Well, it's very funny. Of course, we all seen this.
So funny.
The guy who trying that fly into the stairs. He's floating and someone is pulling you, and it's an amazing thing. But this is part of the gigantic space show.
Yeah.
Again, that is the second step of the Blue Beam project. This is another one. The invisible gods that are, a pulling of the astronaut. This kind of movement is it's sad how people believe these things.
Jamie, Carrie, Grant, and
Here is the most amazing comparison in real life. They are telling us how they do it, or at least one of the way that they use to fake it at that time. And you mentioned before, and for me it's a great idea to maybe there was connected like
to a balloon,
gas balloon, to a balloon, exactly. Then you have this type of thing where the antenna is break. This came from Taboo Conspiracy.
Did you see it? Here
yes,
it is
Ben,
cropped.
I see it.
Yes, we see it.
It's amazing, man. I mean, another part of the big show that they are presenting. In fact, it's on Getty Image. I mean, what it's tell you that this is official video.
Right.
It's not, someone that maybe they are doing deep fake videos or something like that. This is for real. Then you have crazy things, but everything is related. For example, at scan level, you have the people that sell terrains on the moon.
Oh, man, can't believe it. Yep, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Or I've seen watches for sale. I've seen watches that have a little bit of moon dust in them. I've seen bracelets that have moon dust in them, shoes that have moon dust in them. Now you can buy properties on the moon. What a huge business for nonsense.
Exactly. Yeah. So then you have, for example, at the promise level, they keep promise us that we are going to get back and put colonies and colonize the moon and vacation holidays, whatever.
Right.
Then we have a conspiracy level. No, we have moons base created from for Nazis or from aliens or whatever.
The Nazis
and then
or
you have
the aliens live on the other side. Yeah.
exactly, and then you have, of course, the most efficient political level, which is they use all this to get money and keep brainwashing and and so what I mean is all these kind of things, it's part of the Blue Beam project. Simply as that. And then we can go and talk about the SpaceX, how they can make it very easy in just like Hollywood productions, how the spacecraft was changing. It's like the space, like the crop cycles.
Right.
They learn.
It moves with the
space,
time, right? 1960s, it looks like this, and then 80s, 90s, right?
Yeah, and the nice thing is that they took so many years, so many decades to add just a simply glow to the atmosphere.
Right. Now we get the yellow glow.
And that is the shadow, man, of the satellite.
Right, on the Earth.
What?
Yeah, what
I don't
is going
know if
on?
that is some kind of maybe, splat there, but. And then, like I mentioned before, then you have, suddenly 2015, the first time that we see all the lights, color, because the technology in terms of computer graphic get more powerful.
Right.
So now we have that. And the same thing happened with the crop cycles, and the same thing happened with the space rocket launch and the space fakery.
Mm-hmm.
As long the technology keep growing and keep, become more powerful, they are going to make more believable the deception. That is why NASA asked in their real life event for CGI, for animators.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed this before. Then you have all the Hollywood productions applying to the, space events, all the news, they are selling us like excursion or like a tourist thing, like being in a hotel. After after official video, you can see scuba diver and the bubbles.
Right.
Not just bubble. There are bubbles that are coming back in the same way that supposedly they came. I mean, in space, you are not going to have that. Okay. I mean, if it's a particle and start going in this direction, there is nothing that changed that.
Right.
At least you have another force. So how this bubble or this space particle
change directions,
change velocity, decreasing the velocity, the acceleration, and then go up like if it was a bubble. After these kind of things, it's impossible to get back. Even it doesn't matter if you are a way back machine.
No,
you cannot get back.
You can't go back there. I've tried.
You cannot go back.
I can't do it.
The highest priest of the space, and I keep going, but I prefer to make a stop here, and maybe the third part we can cover the satellite industry and how it's start and how it's related to the Blue Beam, and then give the final part in the same third chapter about the all the, because I have a lot, so many slices to cover. The Space Force, which is another way to bring the real life to real life, this kind of nonsense Blue Beam that if I do it right now, I'm going to make very quickly, and for me this is for going into detail. Yeah. So if you
want to, are you available next Thursday?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I am available. Yeah. So
I'll put you
after
on the
that
schedule.
we can cover the third part, which is the electronic bidirectional telepathic communication. And let me make some spoiler here, but we have that technology.
Right.
So
here.
We have it, and it's even public. It's even, you can buy it if you want to right now.
Right.
And then we can go to, like I mentioned before, to the part of the UN and all the symbology behind, and Lucy Trust and all the New Age thing, because like I mentioned before, the official document is, you are going to use technology, space, aliens, but the ultimate goal is to insert or create a new world order via a new God and a new Messiah. So that part is also in our present day. So thank you for the time, Sharon.
No, thank you, everybody. That was Iru. So it's so much fun having him on the show, and it'll be good to do another. So I guess we're going to do part 3, so check out that next Thursday. As far as what else is coming up this week, check out tomorrow. We'll be doing a Friday Lounge, which will just be another kickback session. I'm sure we'll be talking about the Coroni Baloney, amongst many other subjects, so definitely tune in for that. That'll be tomorrow at 12 noon. And then we have Globebusters on Sunday. Back to Raw on Monday, and we'll just keep going from there and see what's happening. It certainly is some eye-opening times. It certainly is the age of deception. Thank you so much for the super chat that we got today. It's very much appreciated. I always ask people to support the show if they can. I realize times are tough. I guess realize they're tough for everyone. So if you can, still support, but I understand. Times are tough. It's going to be tough right now for everybody, but support the show. Support Iru. If you scroll down in the description of this video that you're watching right now, I believe I put your stuff there already. Yeah, there we go. So I'll just show this real quick before we go. So there you go. So if you scroll down in the description of this video, you've got links to his English channel, NPT Red Pill. You've got links to his Spanish channel, Nur para Todos. You've got links to his Patreon, Nur para Todos, and to his website, nurparatodos.com.ar. So please support the show. Please support Iru. He's doing great work. And
thank you, man.
Yeah, love to see you guys support him. And if you want to support me, it's very easy to do so. You can do so by going to Patreon. And I always have to say thank you to all my patrons. They make everything I do possible, so I really appreciate their help and their support. You can join them at patreon.com/jeranism. While you're there, do /NurParatodos and support Iru as well. Okay.
Thank you so much for the supporters that I already have. For me, it's very right now here, like you said before, of course, around the world, but third countries are really having bad time. That for sure. So thank you so much for the people that help me be a patron, and of course that is if you go to my Spanish channel, and let me just make the comment, but I add like 3 or 4 publicities in a video of about an hour. And I do it because right now one of the help that I receive is the publicity that YouTube give me. So thank you everyone that for support me. And of course, it's not obligation. It's just something that maybe if you can do it, $2 here is so much. So thank you everyone.
Yeah, and if you want to mail me a letter, you can do so also at P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California 95344. And to Paul, I'll just say Paul in Washington. I got 2 letters this week, and I will call them out probably tomorrow and a thank you. But just something I noticed for the first time ever, it appears that there was something round in this envelope. I'm not going to guess what it is. I opened the package from Paul. It doesn't look like he says anything was included. But, Paul, if you did include some sort of coin or silver or something, somebody stole it. I can see that they cut out the very corner of this envelope, and it looks like something round was in there that they pressed on. I can kind of see the round shape. Maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping. But if you did send something small and round, it got stolen. So if it looks like the size of like a coin, a silver ounce or something. So just letting people know, don't send that in envelopes because people are stealing it. So just letting you guys know that. Iru, any final words before we go?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for the time, for giving me the opportunity to talk with your audience. It's a very kind, I'm a part of Blockbuster and everyone knows me, but it's not easy to have friends that give us the opportunity to present our material. And even if, not even, but I mean, with the difficulty of my English and things like that, so maybe
it's great.
There are people that doesn't want to, and maybe they prefer to hear you. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
I think you speak better English than some people I see that speak. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And believe me, if I was trying to speak Spanish, oh boy, what a mess that would be. So definitely look up to your skills and appreciate you being on. Thank you for the last second couple super chats. We got one from Haska Sun, said excellent show, and from CMCG says thank you for your work, guys. You are very welcome. We enjoyed doing it, and again, tomorrow should be a fun show to sit back and talk a little Corona and limes. So see you guys tomorrow. I remind you to do your own research because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Stay safe out there. This has been Jeranism. Till next time, peace.
Peace.